Yes, as I told you this evening, we're going to be talking about a very crucial topic actually here. And I've talked to most of you. Thank you so much for those who are joining us live on the home of African music this evening. This is the only station that speaks a language. Thank you so much for those actually who are joining us on our Facebook pages and all that. Thank you so much. The topic is being poor actually in Africa is completely different to being poor in Europe. And most of you have come in. I really need to go there because I told you I'm gonna be reading each and every comment. I'm not going to leave any comment outside here. And let me tell you, most of you are coming in. Thank you much. Alisa said we need to work together globally to eradicate poverty. There are parts of the world that have so much and other parts that need hands up. So let me know what you think about this topic today. Being poor in Africa is completely different to being poor in Europe. And for those who are watching me right now on our YouTube channel and those who are watching me right now on our Facebook channel, thank you so much actually for joining us. And if you want to get me on here, remember our WhatsApp line +49 163 remember 728 Tell me, what do you think about this topic that we're talking about here today? Being poor in Africa is actually completely different to being poor in Europe. Most of you are in Europe. For those who are typing actually here, for those who are in Stuttgart City, you know what you're talking about. Let me know what you think about this. Yes, I can see Sumani saying surviving in Africa seems to be impossible. Hey, Jamani. Let me get most of you who are talking to me here through our social media platforms. If you're joining me right now, remember Radio R 99.2 FM on Instagram. That's where you're gonna check me on my DM. Remember Radio R on Facebook, where we are streaming live. You're gonna send your message. Let me know what you think about this topic today. Most of you are actually, MK is saying, bro, Europe poor is equal to Africa is rich. I agree with you on that other side. Remember, for those who are joining me on YouTube, remember Radio RFM, home of African music. If you type there, you're gonna be getting in live and clear. Let me know what you think about this topic today. Being poor in Africa is completely different to being poor in Europe. We have seen, for those who are living in Europe, you know what you're talking about. You've seen this on these streets of ours where we are walking in Stuttgart City, Mannheim, Tübingen. For those who are in France, for those who are in Belgium, you know what you're talking about. Being poor in Africa, completely different to being poor in Europe. What is your experience out there? Most of you are saying if you are poor in France, the state can help you. Charities can help you, take care of you. In Africa, no one gives you anything and you die of hunger. Hey, Jamani. Hey. Is it true? Let me know what's your take. Someone is saying that's why we all want to play football where I grew up. If you are a poor family, life is impossible. True that. Most of you, let me know what you think about that. Thank you, John, Senegal actually tuned in right now. That's what gives you determination. I want to succeed in life in order to be able to help not only my family. That's John actually continuing on his pace. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think about this. There is poor in Europe and the poor in Africa. You can't compare. It will never be the same. You need to have lived in it like I have. You get up in the morning and you find nothing to eat. Don't ask me to go into details. Thank you much, Sophia. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Being poor in Africa is completely actually different to being poor in Europe. Those who are joining me on Facebook, thank you so much. Oh my, you are too many to handle this. But before I continue, I want to bring you some good news here. For those who like betting games, hey, Okpesa Bet Master is here for you. Remember to go to okpesa.com, register is actually completely free. So if you are in East Africa, if you are everywhere and you really want to have some games out there, there's so many interesting games out there that you can be playing out there when you are. Go to okpesa.com, www.okpesa.com, register and play. Remember to bet Master. You're gonna join them on their Facebook and their social media platforms to know what is happening. I remember actually each and every day Remember, East African time, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. They are always live to guide you and to know how you're doing. I've heard some of you are flying without a pilot. They call them flying aviators, aviatorins. There are so many games in that. Check it out there, okpesa.com. They always say Betty Kimasta.
This is... Je, unataka kufurahia burudani ya kipekee na kujifunza zaidi kuhusu michezo mipya ya kubeti? Karibu OkePesa, jukwaa lako bora la michezo mitandaoni na kubeti. OkePesa inakuleta michezo ya kusisimua kama vile Aviator Free Range na michezo mingine. Tunachokifanya OkePesa ni kurahisisha kubeti kwako, kukufurahisha na kukuelimisha kuhusu michezo usiyoijua. Ukiwa nasi utapata uzoefu wa kipekee na kujua mbinu bora za kushinda. Kwa nini uchague OkePesa? Kwa sababu tunatoa program bora za washirika zinazokupa fursa na kujipatia hadi shilingi milioni 10 za Kenya. Jisikie mwenye kujiamini na kufurahia michezo ya kubeti. Jiunge nasi OkePesa leo kupitia tovuti yetu www.okepesa.com, kwani hapa ni burudani ya kuelimisha na fursa ya kuwa mshindi. OkePesa, furahia burudani ya ushindi. Betty Kimasta.
I'm telling you, Betty Kimasta, OkePesa. Remember to go to www.okepesa.com, and that's where you're gonna be betting. It's free of charge. Check it out. I've checked out myself, and so many of you who are actually joining me right now, you know what I am talking about. And remember to share it to your friends. Being poor in Africa is completely different by being poor in Europe. That's the topic we are having here today. So many of you are joining here. Hey, I'm trying to get your comments again on Facebook. Thank you so much. We have a number of you who have joined me on this evening. Thank you so much. 217 is a good number. And for those who are on YouTube, thank you so much. Those who are on my DM, remember on our WhatsApp line, +49 163 728 6573. That's where you're gonna be joining me live here on your home of African music. Let me know what you think. The only dope is saying that's totally correct, but this thing of comparing your European problems with African problems must end. Hey brother, we were just discussing. You are actually coming. Alisa is saying, at least I read your comment. Let me repeat it for the sake of you again, because you are saying read my comment. We need to work together globally to eradicate poverty. There are parts of the world that have so much and other parts that need and have. I agree with you. Let me go down here, and Alua is saying of course it is, especially because Europe and North America carries out all kinds of economic and military terrorism with some objectives. That's a good one. Cherry, let me say that you nailed it. Thank you. We really suffer here in Africa. Really? Cherry, just do some little research. Remember, for those joining me right now, being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe. That's our topic today. May it be Europe, may it be the US. Let me know you in diaspora. Let's put it in diaspora so that I may not limit you if you are in USA, Canada, because we have a lot of fans right now from there. Let me know what you think. Kusane, where are you listening me from? And remember to write the hashtag where you're listening me from. If you're in Senegal, if you're in US, if you're in North London, let me know where you are. Not forgetting that the Europeans are subsidized by African minerals which they stole and still stealing. Whoa. I can tell you, people have comments out here. For those joining me, tell me, being poor in Africa is actually different, totally different from being poor in Europe. That's what we are discussing here. And people are saying, Ali G. Let me read Ali G's comment here saying, being poor in Africa means you have a land and a house, but farmland to farm on and eat off. Compared to the Western world, being poor means you don't have nothing on your name. Hey, that's another one. Someone is saying here that's not poor. He's talking about people that only have 10 for a house. Rent for a house, not land, no food, real struggle. Okay, that's what you're talking. Author, what are you saying? Here is 100% right. Take it or leave it. Poor in Europe is a way more better than in Africa. No one care about the poor in Africa. Oh, Christ is saying we are not poor in Africa. Our gold and fame are in heaven. Hey, I told you today. Gonna get it. If you are joining us right now at this conversation this evening, remember Diaspora Chronicles. We are talking about being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe. What is your take out here? And most of you have come up from Facebook, and I'm gonna be reading each and every comment. That's what I said since the beginning of the show. Diaspora Chronicles right here on your home of African music. The Kitu shop is saying that's right, here in Nigeria. Thank you so much for mentioning where you're listening to me from. You got to struggle to greet, if not to go see Shege. Hey, what is Shege, my Nigerian people? I might be reading something that is not supposed to be read at this particular point in time. Anyway, I'm still proud to be a Nigerian irrespective. I hope Shege is a good thing that I've read on online here. My Nigerian people, come and help me here before you strike me with something else. Onyinyo is saying, Onyinyo official, you said but truth. I am really suffering here in Africa. It's really hard for me to train regularly because there is no food for me to eat after training. Jamani, I will be starving. I really need to help so cause I can achieve my career. It is not here. So what if you come to Europe? Are you not going to be poor? Because we want to know, being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe. For those who are in Europe, for those who are in diaspora, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know. For those who are in Europe, in diaspora, let's educate our brothers and sisters who are in Africa who think actually in Europe you cannot be poor. You can be poor. We don't see a way, but with God is always going to be a way. Pels. Thank you so much for that. Hilly to Billy. Hey, your name is Hilly to Billy. Hey, cry me a river. How? Being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe is our topic today. And for those who are joining us right now, let me know what you think. It's very different. This is Joseph. About Europe, but in America, your family is much more likely to kick you out and let you be homeless. But most countries in Africa have a much stronger sense of family. There's a point there. So even if you are 30 and dead broke, your parents will let you live with them. There's some truth, because here in Germany, if you are 18, your parents want you to step out of the house. They don't even care where you are going. So that family, they always call it in Germany, family crisis, is no longer there. So you may find your father is living in Stuttgart, and if your father left your mother is living in Heilbronn. That's around 35 kilometers away from Stuttgart. And you as a child, if you are 18, you are living in Frankfurt. That's around 150 kilometers away. So that family is not there. So you have to visit the mother, you have to visit the father. So many things are happening in Germany here. So that's different. But today we are talking about a very different topic. For those joining us right now, remember we are trying to ask, what is your take? Being poor in Africa is actually completely different from being poor here in Europe. What is your take? Most of you are coming in. Poor is poor. Rich is rich, no matter what. I appreciate that. Poor truth, but still we survive. That is Parking's Hucho. Karim is saying, how many homeless people do France have? You don't know, but you talk about it. I'm telling you, there is a lot. These European countries, they have a lot of them. Adam is saying, don't generalize, bro. In Morocco, the poor survive because of charity and the help of citizens and the country. It's different. Always praise your homeland. It's where you truly belong. Africa is where we truly belong, and that's why we are asking. For those who are in Africa, you're going to tell us. For those who have experienced both, you are here in Europe, you are here in diaspora. Being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe. That's what we're talking. Matthews, you're coming up. So why people in Africa got 5 kids if they can't afford food for them? Jamani, if God says go and multiply this world, even if they are 10, even if they are 15, go and do it. Bring all of them to Europe. We pay to solve whole world problems. I'm trying to get you, because if you are in Germany here and you have kids, they always say they are being paid. That's why you see our brothers and sisters who come here, sometimes they multiply. Let me tell you how Africans multiply here in Europe is something that is very different, because these children are being given something from the government. So our brothers and sisters who get this information, they come here to Europe and they multiply. Let me tell you, they multiply. This is going to be a topic in another day, and I will be bringing some people here who are going to be telling us the advantages of having many children in Germany. or in Europe. That's another topic. But for now, for those who are joining us and for those who are still listening to me, we are talking about being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor here in Europe. And most of you are getting to me. I can get you. I have to read each and every comment today because most of you have been asking. I've not been reading your comments. Richie, I pray you succeed more than we will ever imagine and pray for. Thank you so much. And not all Africa. I have been to countries in Africa and it's not all are like this. Not all are poor. But what's the difference? Let me know. Talk to me through our social media platform. For those who are joining us, remember Stuttgart City to the world. That's where you're streaming live. And remember, for those who are streaming live from www.cradior.com, that's where you're going to be getting us live, or radio.net. You're going to be getting us live according to where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And for those streaming right now on YouTube, for those streaming right now on Facebook, where we are actually streaming live, thank you so much. Continue hitting our DM here. Let me know what you think about this topic today. And for those who want to reach us on our WhatsApp line, is actually open, +49 163 728 6573. Let me know what you think about this topic. Yes, being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor in Europe. Let me read something here from Nana. Nana Dama is saying, well said, well written. However, there are poor people in developed countries. If the poverty of these people is incomparable to the poverty people of low or undeveloped countries of the world. Unfortunately, Africa as a continent, we have many undeveloped and low developed countries. I think, Nana, you have put this very right. Thank you so much. Michael is saying here, you can easily find nothing to eat in Africa, but you can stay without a penny for months in Africa. Very true. A penny to keep the lights on. There is plenty of food, but no money for essential things. Let me tell you, Michael has a point. Here in Europe, we are buying everything, not like Africa. So he has a point there. Michael, thank you so much. And remember to tell us where you're listening to us from. I love that. Kili Dash is saying here, real Africa, not like the DDP, white fighting claiming Africa. I don't know what you mean there. Thank you so much for that. Let me say, gimme, tell us where you're listening from. That only works to a certain extent, like no food and you die. But if everyone in your class can afford something basic and you are, you're writing a lot, I cannot even follow right now, and you are the only one from a poor family, you feel free and sad emotions, even if in Europe. Happiness is relative to the standard in a religion. People try to be humble if they try to remember that others having it harder. For those joining us, remember the topic this time round. We are asking ourselves, being poor in Africa is completely different from being poor actually here in Europe or in diaspora. Let me say that, considering to where you are listening me from. Surviving in Africa seems to be very impossible. Tsunami, I read your comment. Thank you so much. Hey, let me know where you're reading us. Remember, this is home of African music. For those who are joining us right now, I'm trying to catch up with your comments today. Anyone that has been to Africa will agree the poverty and lack of any social welfare can't be compared to the one in Europe. Aaron, hey, thank you so much. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be reading each and every comment today. Keep them streaming. I can see most of you are saying facts. Hey, facts, 5,000 correct, 5,000% correct, Jamani. Hey, it's completely different. Being poor in Africa and being poor in Europe is completely difficult. Pure truth. Hey, someone is crying here actually. Pure truth. If you are not in Nigeria, you can't understand. Nigerians, we need to talk. We need to talk to your president. Focus on football little, but you more privileged than the whites now. That makes sense. Being poor in Africa is completely different with being poor actually in Europe. That's what we are talking about. For those joining me on Facebook, thank you so much. I can see all of you streaming. Prince Lovey on our Facebook page is saying, Let me tell you, the Western and Northern culture you reap from Africa. Tuned in from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much, my brother. Yes, Said M. Dante is in Malili Konza Technopolis Tupondani. I'm telling you, thank you so much. Being poor is being poor, bro. Let's try to fight poverty in all legal means. I love that. Hey, I told you. Being poor in Africa is completely different with being poor in Europe. Is that why you all have the worst attitude as soon as you get to your first contract? Somebody is trying to get here personal. I'm trying to tell you. Ajim is saying that's very concerning statement, since there are 100% who know charities that are national televised that take care of people and children in Africa. If what we say is true, where does all this money go? That's gonna be another question in another topic, because we have seen so many. Let me tell you, I hate this when I go around the streets of Stuttgart here, where now the station is stationed, and seeing billboards with the African children, and it's written there, donate. We always donate. People donate, but where do this money go? Have you ever asked yourself? There are so many containers actually around Stuttgart city, around Germany, around Europe. You meet them where they say you have to throw the clothes that you don't use. They always throw in that container, and they always say they want to support children in Africa who don't have clothes. But have you ever imagined meeting these clothes on the market? So are these clothes going to be donated to go and help children in Africa, or are they going to be sold? That's another topic that we're going to be talking in here on Home of African Music. But for now, I'm just asking a very question. What do you think about that? What do you think about this? Being poor in Africa comparing to being poor in Europe is totally different. Let me know what you think. Most of you are coming through from Facebook, from our DM here, from Instagram. Thank you so much. YouTube. Let me scroll down a little bit so that I can come. Hey, you guys are. Hey, Jesus. Comments are coming in. Most of you are heartbroken with this topic. Most of you are fire emojis. In Africa, it is hard to make it because our leaders take everything for themselves. That's one way.